Well, hello YouTube, or I should say good morning YouTube. Riding Japan, slept about 6 hours in this wonderful car, and it is not even as early as I thought it would be. One quick look around. I'm going to rip all of the stuff out of the car now and show you piece by piece what I did to it, how I did it, and what's all in there. Just because I know it's fairly dark, because I tried to darken out the windows. I want to explain what I did. So what you can see here in front of the windows, and again, it's not a finished project. This is how it started. If you look at that screen type thing that you usually put on the window screen in the front to block out the sun, which you take on and off, this is fairly cheap home center stuff. So I decided to buy a whole bunch of these, and I also bought Velcro tape, so this can be removed, and I made it so it could be removed. So you buy this Velcro tape, put it on the glass, put some of it on the bubble wrap. You can see this is double bubble wrap. They're actually two together and each have the silver foil. As you can see here, these little gaps, I don't like them too much, and you can actually see them a little bit. Also, you can see that it could be darker if there was one more layer on it, because you can actually see the Velcro tape. Velcro tape, yes, important. If there's a passenger sitting and everything is completely dark here, that I don't think that'll be very comfortable. I can remove these panels, especially the one in the back. There's a table here that I bought, which you'll see in a minute, ratchet strap to this thing that I also built. Then the boxes I mentioned in the other video. I pulled a whole lot of seats out and I left this one in. I'll explain about the wheelchair lift later. And another thing I built was this thing, which is fairly difficult, not just because I had to weld a little bit, but because these screws had to fit, because they're seatbelt screws, and you cannot find these in home centers in Japan. These screws are only for the cars. I don't know, they make them so nobody can fuck around with them. Nobody can mess around with a seatbelt and, I don't know, hang other stuff on, which I did anyway. But there are 4 chairs that are also ratchet strapped, and the bed I'm currently sitting on goes here. I might show you this very quickly before I pull it out of the car. This car has sliding windows. There are 2 here and here. On the right side you cannot open, no, on the left side, driver's side. Yeah, that doesn't help you guys, does it? So the left side, if you look forward, the driver's side in Germany, which is not in Japan, I'm an idiot, those windows you cannot open. So this window has a fly screen, which I made myself. I welded the frame, I drilled through the side. Yeah, I didn't give a shit. Okay, let us have a look at the absolute fancy door. Woohoo! Good morning YouTube! I believe it's time for morning piss. Ugh. Always dealing with this pesky camera stuff. So another quick look from the outside. Now I've got these boxes. I'm going to talk a little about what's in these boxes, what kind of stuff I actually ended up preparing. Yeah, it's a stupid mask again. I hope you guys don't mind. I just don't want to be known. I don't know, maybe it'll make me famouser if everyone sees my face, and I heard subscribers are annoyed by it, but I choose not to. The people I ride with, most of them don't know my channel. They just know I'm recording. My colleagues don't know my channel. Last box. Oh shit. Yeah, so I have built a bed. I did make a bed. And this car, this Hiace, is a wheelchair type. Let me tell you a little about the car before I dig into the bed. So the main thing is that Hiace has a whole bunch of different models. You can have a standard roof, standard width, standard length. If you buy one of those, I believe you can register it as a normal passenger car in Japan. Japan has a whole bunch of different license plate types, and if the Hiace exceeds one of the following, which is height, width, length or engine size, then it is classified as a work truck. I'm not even sure how many, what the seats have to do with the whole thing, but I believe they don't. So my Hiace is too high. It would be a work truck, and that means that I have to go to the vehicle inspection annually. It might be a bit cheaper than the 2-year vehicle inspection, but also the tax is different, and very importantly, the highway fees are different. So this Hiace, even though it's taller, is still the same highway fee as a normal car or normal passenger car. Another very big difference is this car is really, or pretty much scratched up. It's an old shit box I bought when it was 10 years old and had about 95,000 kilometers down. You can see all kinds of dents and scratches like this one on the door here, which already came painted over. Pretty much every nook and cranny is dented, but nothing too severe. Here there's another one, but nothing too severe that I would bother about it. Actually, there's another scratch here. Caps are cracked. This is, I believe, the biggest one. So never any real collision, but more like, from driving. So this is an 800 number, and an 800 number is for the wheelchair, for the special car, as well as camper vans. But as a camper van, you have to have like a sink, and you have to have a bed or something to be classified as. And I didn't want the whole permanent storage thing. So this has a wheelchair spot, these mounts, and here's supposed to be like a metal thing for a seat belt. So you drive a wheelchair on top, and then you hook these on the wheelchair and press the button, and the rope becomes really tight, and then the wheelchair is basically locked. And then you get you take the seat belt and put it on the passenger, so the passenger doesn't fly out. So one wheelchair used to be here. So the wheelchair is cheaper in tax, the wheelchair car is cheaper in tax. The wheelchair car only has to go to vehicle inspection once a year, and the wheelchair car costs 50% less than these work cars. Something like that. Don't nail me on the numbers, I have no idea. I think it's 50. I think a work car is 50% more than this one, which is the same as a regular passenger car. And if you drive and you have to pay $50, or you drive and you pay $75 for the highway, that's a huge difference. Yay, look at a little campfire from yesterday. Let's have a peek. Okay, so I made this. I bought the spongy thing because I noticed the mattress, the futon itself, was a little too hard. I could feel the wood when I was lying on my side. I I welded the metal frame myself. I welded the hinges. So those are some really shitty welding marks, I know. We've got the legs. And I bought this sponge futon under make it soft cover for about $12. It was a really irregular size, so I wanted to cut it anyway, And this is why I didn't buy one in the fucking furniture shop. As you can see here, it does fit in the car, but it doesn't really fit in the car well, like a regular one wouldn't have fit. And yeah, sturdy as fuck, I can walk on it. Woohoo! How to do this with one hand. Now the microphone is in the way. Sorry guys, need to put this one down. Well, it's supposed to have the mattress in it, right? So you close that, you bend these down, there's a wheel on one side, and then the mattress goes here. So camping chairs. Yeah, have a nice look at my ass. Let us unbolt the table, because when that's done, I can comfortably remove said table and I can talk about the lift. This wonderful lift, I hate this lift for several reasons. Number one is it does make the rear a bit narrow. The engine or the motor, whatever, is down here. This is just because of the wheel. I had to build this wooden thing to put the Costco table on properly. Now, this lift is fairly strong. It slides out first. Again, there's a person on a wheelchair on it. And then once it gets to the edge, it will do this. Woohoo! And it is even strong enough to lift the fat fuck who owns this car. Whoa! This is a little bit like surfing. Ow, that was my head. So, the thing is, if I remove it, next time I do the vehicle inspection, I will lose my classification and have to pay what a normal working truck has to pay. Since I don't want that, I will put that pile belt thingy back and I should be clear. The car was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seater. There's a seat here. There was a seat here. There were 2 seats in the front, and there was a wheelchair mount here and a wheelchair mount here, which counts as seats. Plus, I had all the belts on the side. So I ripped all this shit out and chucked it. I have a whole bunch of pictures which you can look at, and I put this one back, which my friend had removed before registration. So technically the vehicle, the way it is registered and the way it is now is very different, but I hope nobody gives a shit. And next time the vehicle inspection comes along, I will re-register it and keep the 3 in the front. I will leave this one in and I will have the other one here as an official. So it'll be a 5-seater. I built the floor, I rebuilt the floor. There's another few pictures that I can show you. I rebuilt the floor. I wanted to raise it to the level of the wheelchair lift because, as I mentioned, there was another wheelchair locking mechanism thingy on the right, but because the seats were next to it, once I pulled the seats out, I had the seat mounts I had to deal with. And since I took the seats out, you know, the whole floor wasn't straight anymore and you couldn't get a bike in. And then the next project I tried is the seat or the lift itself. I wanted to fix a stationary ramp on it that you could just fold over and drive the bike on, because the front wheel is going to be around here and the side stand is around here, so the rear wheel is around here. So the metal folded over, I could bring the bike, but it didn't work. It didn't quite work. So I've practiced with 2 people. It's actually possible to get to this point. And then there's a small cogwheel here, and under this cover is some kind of, oh man, I don't know how to explain this. It looks like a metal bar with cogs in it. You can see them here a little bit, like a belt type thing, like a chain. And because the weight, this is the wheelchair mount, there's a hole if you take it out. If you imagine that this is a meter longer and the weight of the bike is on, this was sagging so much on the rear, not much more than a centimeter, and due to that it just got stuck. So I spent 20 hours, 30 hours of fabrication. I did the first test and realized this will never be finished, and I was really sad. It did lift the BMW. That was pretty awesome. Let me talk a little bit about what's in those boxes. So box number 1, which is usually on the bottom, is riding gear. I want to do a riding gear video on another time, so I'm not going to explain this one. There is another box I have which is about race riding gear, which has got one-piece leathers, helmets, proper gloves, different shoes in it. So I can like switch out the riding gear based on the bike, but I don't have the other bike yet, so this is just work in progress again. This box is fairly boring. Basically some maintenance stuff. An air pump for the KTM, because I do like to raise and lower air pressures. Some spray and the KTM toolkit. And I put this whole tent type setup is also in there. Then I've got 2 boxes with camera stuff. This is the mount I'm using on the dirt bike. It's a dirt bike mount, which is really nice. It has this kind of chin front shape. It clamps under the helmet really well. Let me demonstrate that for you. You can kind of open that, clamp it down here, and it will sit. I don't remember the company name. This double D something logo. Maybe someone knows it. It looks really good. I think it's really sturdy. I put the sponge, like the plastic backing is open, I put the sponge. I can torque directly up to like 40-50k. This works quite well. Then I have all other kinds of cable shit and batteries in there. This is my emergency clothing, which basically means I always have a set of clothing in my car. Which I practically bring everywhere. There are towels in here, and yeah, there's a little surprise in here. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys care, but I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've actually carried this for a while, and I've put this in a couple of videos, but I've never actually shown it to you because I do lack a bit of confidence, and I see a lot of people have a lot of success on YouTube with things they try, and I don't want to be a greedy bastard. So yeah, I made Riding Japan shirts over a year ago, and maybe this is the time to show you the design. And maybe someone, like of the 100 people who click on this video, maybe 10 people are still listening, and maybe one of you wants to buy one of these shirts. You can let me know. Standard Teespring. This is a hoodie, but I have t-shirts, I have long sleeves. I made up three different pieces of clothing, I think. The rest is just underwear and stuff. I don't think you want to see that. So if you're interested, should I run a Teespring campaign? Please let me know. Let me get one of those fancy chairs. These are actually surprisingly comfortable. Look at that. Look at it. Yeah, I hope this video doesn't get too boring, but this is my cooking box, pots and pans, plates, cups, all cheap IKEA shit. I've got a gas stove, typical Japanese type gas stove. It's not motorcycle, right? It's camping, so it's a bit bigger. It can hold a proper plate. It can put it on a table. Then I've got one box for utensils and oils and stuff. And I've got one for batteries, yeah, garbage, soap, tissue, this kind of stuff. And yeah, I don't know, why did I bring two of them? But anyway, I only have the KTM here. Sorry about too much KTM riding recently, but that's what it is. Other than that, riding Japan out. I hope you enjoyed a behind the scenes view of how the Hiace is packed, and see you on the next video.